All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus podcast, presented by Connors and Ferris. Please be sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel if you enjoy our content. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. We are here. Bills camp is now over at Fisher. Crazy to think the last couple of weeks. Yep, dropping it in the bucket. All right, Mike, what has been your biggest takeaway of camp?
I would say the fights. I got to be honest with you. It surprised me for this year. And we had another couple today where they went at it. And I get the competition part. I know that happens. They've had competitive camps before. They haven't had as many little flare-ups, dust-ups, skirmishes,
Scuffles.
kerfuffles. Those are,
Kerfuffles.
right, good words that they'd had. Today was one. And, you know, look, it's not a long-lasting thing, but I kind of like that there's a little edge there. I kind of like that it's not comfortable. I think there are moments when it's that way. I don't think it extends past the practice field. Guess what? There's 90 guys out here. Some guys don't like each other. But sometimes that happens on the field amongst friends, let alone that. So it just sticks with me that we've had all the same things we've had in a lot of other camps, but it's almost on a daily basis of where we've seen it.
Especially based off how much they say they like each other. Like, this isn't a team that has you have these bad bloods or these tabloid storylines. These guys all seem to really like each other. And then even today, Micah Hyde had an interception in the end zone, ran it back. Gabe Davis, staying with the play, I thought, kind of chased down Micah Hyde as he was running up the field. The interception occurred in the end zone. And at the end of it, Micah Hyde whips the football and drills Gabe Davis, Gabby Davis,
Gabby
in the back.
Davis.
And then they had to be separated again.
Yeah.
That one was just a talking, but it was one of those things where I said, man, chucking the football at the guy wasn't great.
See, it's so funny because I saw it differently. Like, Micah Hyde picked off that ball and Micah Hyde was running it back, and then I thought Gabe pushed him like pretty substantially, and then Micah was like, what the heck, man, and then he threw the football. But that being said, afterwards, did you see Micah Hyde was over on the Bills' offensive sideline chatting with a bunch of the other players as well? Gabe Davis was also involved in that. But I think what you guys were talking about as well, just the competitiveness. Micah Hyde talked about it, Josh Allen talked about it, because I think fights are a part of camp.
Yeah.
But like you said, Mike, there's been
a lot.
Daily.
Jenna, it used to be like, oh, wow, they had this.
Yeah.
You know, when like Eric Wood was screaming at, oh my gosh, now at Penn State defensive end.
Aaron Maven.
Screaming at him. Good stuff that day. And you could tell that was a little more, I believe, I'm going to misquote Eric Wood here, but I believe he phrased something about earning your money because he was another #1 pick. And you could tell those kind of things happen. But it would be like once or twice.
Yeah.
It was almost on a daily basis. But you made a good point, Jenna. They're over here on the sidelines talking.
Yeah.
You see the guys back together. I think, you know, Jordan Phillips had gotten into it. I mean, he joked about the one with Josh Allen, but got into it a little bit with the offensive line, and then they were talking afterward. Now, don't think for a second I'm thinking this is carrying over. It just surprises me a little bit because if McDermott wanted to shut it down, he could shut it down.
Yeah.
I mean, he could. He could say, we're finding guys, we're doing this, we're doing whatever. Maybe he likes it.
What about you, Dan? Your biggest takeaway, you think, from camp?
That the offense still has some work to do. And I didn't expect myself to be breaking camp here saying, I kind of want to see some more out of the offense. There have been great players that I think have risen. We can talk about them in a second. But overall, I think the offense has felt a little disjointed, a little disconnected.
Yeah.
And that's not something that I was expecting to see, so that's maybe my big takeaway. And the defense has been dominant. We've talked about it before, the offensive line issues, they're starting to get it back right, but getting guys back healthy. But in overall, I think the offense just hasn't been.
Yeah. And it's funny because my takeaway was just going off of that was going to just be the defense. And again, there's the offensive line. Things look to be a little bit more settled now with guys coming back, but at the same point, there was a lot of Bobby Hart in the lineup early on, things like that. And I felt like I just have very high expectations this season on Ed Oliver. I feel like he was always involved in the play, even Tremaine Edmonds having some of those more influential splash plays. But the defense just, they had a lot of juice. They had, I mean, they just to me were usually winning the day.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
something I was not expecting to say either, but that was kind of my biggest takeaway. Is there a guy, Mike, for you that is your biggest, other than, you know, Josh Allen? I feel like we always talk about him. But is there a player that stood out to you the most this camp, or a couple guys?
Yeah, it started out as one guy and it evolved into another, and I think he was great for the entire camp was Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
Because, look, I said to somebody the other day, and it was probably one of you two, but sometimes you tune me out, which I understand, that,
Who could win?
well, Gabe Davis, if you had never seen this team play before, you would say he's the #1 wide receiver on the team. Now, that's nothing against Diggs, because Diggs is always great.
Yeah.
But Gabe Davis was constantly making plays and making catches
Yeah.
and doing things. I think he's got a lot to prove. I know there are a lot of you at home watching don't think he does because he has played well, but I know what he needs to prove. You guys know what he needs.
Yeah.
He needs to prove he can be one of those guys.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
You're
a
talking
big
about
step, too.
well, I always say to somebody, okay, are you drafting him on your fantasy team? And how high up would you draft him? And I know stats aren't always the thing, but we're looking for 5 and 75 out of him every week.
Yeah.
Close to it. You're looking at him to be a go-to guy. And I think he approached camp that way this year. He was just really good. I think he was the best player on offense during camp.
I think that's fair, but I think another guy, I think I know who you're going to say on offense, would be Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah, he was the one I think that was the biggest surprise, and the emphasis, we've talked about it day after day, of him becoming just a big part of this offense. That he was kind of this gadget guy. He's now a guy that they're looking at for just to run regular drag plays and routes out of the slot. So I think he's a guy that got my interest that he's going to have a big impact because of the skill set. And again, you talk about familiarity. He's been here the longest. He knows Josh Allen out of any of the he's been with Josh Allen longer than any other wide receiver in the room. So a lot of that plays into, I think, there's a comfort level. I think he's a guy that started camp strong and then maintained it. He sore a couple days in practice, but again, finished strong today with another touchdown catch. I think that was the highlight of the day for the offense.
And even Josh Allen spoke about, he was asked, is there a guy that's kind of stood out
point.
to you? And he said it was Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah.
And like you said, these two guys have been, you know, playing in the same offense now for some time. And for that to be the case, I feel like that does speak of the step forward that McKenzie's taken.
Well, you guys know, I told you, he's one of my favorite players ever covering this team because he's a lot of fun to be around.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to see him evolve, you know, to become this guy. But I do have to add something else. Jamison Crowder's gotten himself on the field, and he's looked really good.
Yeah.
He's a professional receiver.
Yeah.
And Alan even mentioned, you know, because he had a big play, as much as you can have that in camp, and he took off, and he can still run, as Tremaine Edmonds and the Bills defense know, when he took that one for the Jets, the distance on a short pass and a missed tackle. Not that we remember that play. But, you know, Jamison Crowder appears to going to have a role on this team.
Yeah.
And we know Isaiah McKenzie does. So it's a nice problem to have multiple players that can do that.
I tweeted today, I said, there's nothing sexy about Jamison Crowder's game. There's nothing flashy. And I said, but he's just a very solid player.
Yeah.
His route running, his footwork, his hands, everything just makes me feel comfortable about him and watching him play. And I had a bunch of people say, well, Isaiah McKenzie. Isaiah McKenzie's ceiling is way higher than Jamison Crowder's ceiling.
Yeah.
It is still Isaiah McKenzie's job. But the floor is much higher on Jamison Crowder. There's a lower floor. It is a higher risk, higher reward with Isaiah McKenzie. But you talk about, like you said, a pro, a veteran, steady, that's Jamison Crowder. And it's a nice thing to have.
Yes.
He would be a signing that the Patriots would have signed a few years ago with Tom Brady, and you would have said, damn, that's a good signing.
Yeah.
He's going to do well in that offense.
Yeah.
I think that could be the similar impact for Crowder.
I feel like Isaiah is still ascending, whereas Crowder, you know what you're getting.
You know what you're getting.
Like you said, it's a very, very solid type of player.
Yep.
And a guy that can be reliable, which is obviously huge. I will say that one guy for me that's kind of stood out is on the other side of the ball, and that is just Ed Oliver. I mean, I feel like with the addition of Von Miller and what he will bring to the defense, I feel like Ed has just been involved in everything, and we saw him kind of have some of that success a season ago, and I feel like those are kind of the tea leaves to what he can do for this upcoming year. And the Bills want him, need him. They need that defensive line to play better.
I think Leslie Frazier talks about him yesterday and saying that, like, the difference for Ed Oliver, he said that especially last year when he had more of a breakout season again, was he talked about how he's like learned the mental game and to learn what other offenses are trying to do in certain situations. 2nd and 9 compared to 2nd and 3, or 3rd and 9 compared to 3rd and 1, and to start thinking. And like I said, Ed Oliver was such a dominant force in college that I don't think he had to
He could rely on his instincts.
Exactly. And now you get the NFL, like, now you have to be more of a cerebral player at times, too. And I think that's a big step for Ed.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Big word.
Big word.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind
Regular
is,
season form.
well, we always judge players too quickly. I think it's just natural.
Yeah.
And guys do evolve, and they get better, and they know physically where they need to be. And I think Ed, if you look at Ed's career, a little bumpy at the beginning, as a #1 pick, but I think he's evolving at a really good pace. And I think for a defensive lineman, some guys, there's always that splash guy that comes in, Bosa, one of those guys on the edge, and they make a lot of plays. But boy, I think Dan's right here too on this idea of how to play and how to learn how to play mentally and also technique-wise.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't hurt to have Von Miller join the team. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to help Ed and help everybody.
I think the maturity piece is something we're seeing,
Yeah.
and I think the mental aspect is a part of that. And like you said, he was so good at Houston. He was so instinctual, and now he's just fun to talk to too. Let's be real. He's just got a great personality.
Sissy and sassy.
Those are two
Horses.
horses. All right, is there anyone on the defensive side that stood out for you?
I'm going to say this. I have liked a lot of what I've seen out of Tremaine Edmonds, and I think we're critical of him because we're looking for those plays, and I've seen more of that in this time of camp. I know it's camp. I know it's not the regular season. I know they're happy with him, but I think he's played well, and I think he has shown some of that. And I don't think we'll even really see it. If that part of his game is going to evolve, I think that's the thing that will happen in the regular season when he does have everybody going and Von Miller and they're making plays up front, and he can. But I've liked, again, because I think the emphasis is always on the secondary with this team.
Yeah.
But with the corner issues and the safeties being nicked up, we've looked front seven a lot more.
Yeah.
And they're going to need a little bit more out of him.
Yeah.
You got a take on this.
Yeah, completely disagree.
Wow.
I think that Jenny talks about tea leaves. I think there's writings on the wall, and here's my hot take for you. Next year at training camp, when we come here, we'll be talking about Terrell Bernard being the starting middle linebacker for this Bills offense, or Bills defense. He has already run all of the second-team defenses as the middle linebacker, and we've all thought that he translates to a Matt Milano, and he said to try to model his game after Matt Milano. Then why wouldn't they have him getting reps in Matt Milano's position? They don't. They have him getting reps as a middle linebacker, calling the plays. I think he'll put on 25 pounds, come back into next year, and be that guy that they're already thinking. And McDermott has complimented Bernard's instincts, the way that he processes the game.
Yeah.
What is Tremaine Edmonds? What's his weakness?
Okay, but
processing plays.
Go ahead.
Okay, I checked my phone because I wanted to check the date. It's Thursday, August 11th, so we have that take right there. But
go ahead.
I feel like the game has evolved. Maybe you don't pay your.
That is where I was going to go.
Okay.
I think Tremaine Edmonds could play really well this year and still be gone.
100%.
Because they may not, because it's going to cost a lot of money
Yeah.
in that position to keep a linebacker. And we make the jokes, but he's still going to be a young guy. What will he be, 25 at the end of
I
next
think
season?
so, yeah.
So he's still going to be young, so somebody's going to want to pay him. That's when they make that decision. And that might be the case. I mean, Tremaine could play in a certain level that they feel differently about that.
Yeah.
But if he plays at the level he's played, I still think there's a decision to make. This is where money comes into play.
Yeah.
Money on Milano's contract next year, $13 million. You'd have to deal with some dead cap money. But when Milano signed his contract, we all looked and said, that was weird. Why does the money skyrocket all of a sudden at this point? Obviously, when the cap went down, they got Milano at a good price.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking, okay, next year, if we talk about cutting Milano and having Bernard be that guy, why wouldn't he be playing outside linebacker like Milano? He's not. He's playing middle linebacker. That, to me, big sign.
Yeah, it also could be that that's something they want him to be prepared to do as a backup, and that takes more reps to learn, and he's going to end up being a backup at both positions. But hot take. Hot take.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, look, they drafted him for a reason. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like this.
We're not
team-
even done with training camp, and I'm talking about next year's camp. Everybody's playing chess, and I'm playing checkers.
And look, all I
Okay,
was
Bill
trying
Belichick.
Jenna, I was just trying to get we nitpick Tremaine Edmonds. Like
I've already kicked him out the door. I'm done.
We'll see how he plays, but
Okay.
but to your point, Bernard's looked good in those circumstances. He does have a lot of that, but that's a pretty big change, size-wise, because
Yeah.
Very
he
much.
looks more like a safety sometimes
He
than a linebacker.
does.
Yeah.
You see him line up. I'm like,
Yeah.
20 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay, so you talk about guys getting out.
Yeah.
It's the Fisher 400, players leaving camp as soon as they possibly can. But we got to talk today to McDermott and Allen and Micah just about going away and what training camp kind of offers for the team, because it is more unique to have a team go away for camp.
It is. I tell everybody this. You know, we've obviously being based in Rochester. We love when the team is here.
Yeah.
I think it's great for fans to be able to come out all the time and be here at camp.
Yeah.
And the three most important people in the football organization are Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Not in that order. And they all love coming here. Look, if any of them, especially, if Josh Allen went to them and said, I can't get ready, I love the fans, but this is messing me up and blah, 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 they would take that into consideration strongly. They'd be like, this isn't working for our franchise quarterback. Do you want to be back next year? Absolutely. Like Josh could have just said, I like it here, you know, the team does whatever.
That's not up to, but that's not up to me. He didn't say that.
Fans are great if we're here. He loves camp. He's that guy. He loves playing. What's the game?
Catan.
Settlers of
Yeah, okay. That's what he does. Oh, Eunice, none of you guys know.
Nope.
I've heard about it. We probably butchered it, and we're gonna get roasted in the
That's
comments.
fine. That's fine. He loves doing that. He loves being away, like
Yeah.
he does. He likes all this.
Yeah.
So he does, and all indications from the people I've talked to, both here with the Bills and with Fisher, it's negotiating now to get it figured out. But the one person told me if they wanted to leave, they would have left this year. It would have been an easy leave, as in COVID changed things. We changed things in our facility. We appreciate everything you've done.
Move.
Here's a nice little check
Would've been
for whatever,
easy
and they
PR.
could have gone. Instead, they re-signed and came back, and the quarterback loves it. So I think it's a positive.
A lot of.
But the
what do you
Fisher
say?
400 is a thing, though.
I mean, you could. The players' cars were parked in the parking lot closest to the locker room to leave.
Ready.
Yeah, but you know, we
Which is
also
fine,
see this
whatever.
when they get a day off during the year. Like we've seen it in a bad way out of Orchard Park a few times when they're really going afterward.
Yeah.
When they get a little time, this is get back and do whatever. They're ready to go. They're ready to get back into their apartments and do all those things and be back in Buffalo. But I think they're coming back next year.
What was it? The Boys? Was Josh Allen was watching The Boys?
The Wire.
The Wire.
The Wire?
No.
No, it was Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
And Terminal List.
Yeah. And he said he signed. I asked him how many autographs did he think he signed, and he said, I don't know, how many do you think I signed? Turned the question back on me.
Yes.
That was
True,
good.
true big J
Veteran
journalist
move.
out of Josh.
Yeah.
I said a couple thousand, and he said that's probably about right. And he said it's mostly kids. And he goes, you know, no offense to the adults, but it's about the kids.
Yeah.
Jenny, you see it all the time. He's doing the right thing. He signs for the kids.
Yeah, I would do the. He has to sign so many autographs. He goes out of his way to sign for the kids. If I saw an adult, it's just different.
And you know,
you might sell it on eBay. Like, you know, for a kid, it could mean everything. They'll hang it on their
Right.
wall.
And also, somebody says, you know, we pay a lot. You do. You pay to watch Josh Allen play football, buy whatever, all
Yeah.
those things. Autographs is for in this case, you want to try to get him. Other players sign. They sign for adults.
Yeah.
Josh would still be signing now if he stayed all the time. So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
he does. He's got a plan for that too. He handles that well.
I got the air horn.
Yes. Yeah.
It's all the strategy.
Yeah.
It
Get
does
him
it.
moving.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have so enjoyed being able to do this every day after camp practices. I think the whole team together has been a lot of fun. We always appreciate all the feedback as well. So if you enjoy our stuff, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You weren't staring at me. So
No,
got
I know you
nervous.
were going to it, and then wherever you get our audio podcast, we got some
Yes.
different takes. Check that out. I know a lot of you listen to this audio only sometimes, but you got a chance to an audio podcast. You know, Stitcher, iTunes, iHeart, wherever.
Wherever you find your podcast.
Yeah.
And we'll also have, I'm excited for this, we're going to do our favorite superlatives of camp. So most improved,
Best
maybe
hair.
best hair, but some of the fun stuff. But for Dan and Mike, I am Jenna. We'll catch you next time on Buffalo Plus.